Hello there. Welcome back to the No Reservations podcast. This is Kasey Anton, and this is episode number 36, which I like. I think 36, when I was 36, that was a really good age, so I'm kind of psyched for that. And here's the title, the ROI, so the return on investment of restaurant design, why aesthetics matter. I love this topic. We're going to, me and the listener, are going to dive into this from a few different angles. Hopefully, a lot of this you're like, yeah, I know, I get it, and we're good. And maybe I'll shed some light on some areas that you haven't thought about before. So some of it's going to be kind of basic, and yet, as I go, in and out of restaurants throughout my weeks, months, years, I still find places really unnecessarily lacking in this area. And I'm guessing the reason why they're lacking is because they don't see or don't quite understand, or maybe they just forget the extreme importance that design matters. And when I'm going to talk about design, I'm also going to mention, not only just design, although that's important, functionality as well, cleanliness, aesthetics in every single way matter. So I think I'll start with that. Will Guidara, I don't know if it's pronounced Guidara or Guidara. He wrote, I'm looking behind me, Unreasonable Hospitality, one of my favorite books. If you have not read it or listened to it, please get it. It is a really fantastic book about hospitality, really great. And actually, it goes hand in hand with Proper First for Restaurants. I love giving those two together out as gifts because I just think that if a restaurant owner reads both of those, they are golden. They are set up for so much success. It's great. But he does like this newsletter. He does a few different things, but on a recent newsletter, he talked about, he was in Manhattan, and I believe it was Manhattan. He was walking down the street and he saw this incredibly gorgeous car dealership. I don't think he said that. He didn't say the maker, the brand, but he just mentioned that it looked like it was new. It was state of the art, stunningly beautiful. Every inch design was thought of. It really, he said he was not even in the market for a car. So this is something I would do. I wasn't not even in the market for the car, but design can really bring you in so much. It's so powerful that you might be like, you know what? Maybe it is time I get a new car. Why not? This place is great. So he was talking about just how beautiful and amazing this place was. It just literally stopped him in his tracks on the sidewalk. Not there, not looking for a car, just saw the design of this place. And then as he walked up closer to the front door, there was a 8.5 by 11 sheet of printer paper, scotch taped, just taped up with scrawled on it, "Be back in 5." And that just undid the entire experience for him, as it would do for me as well, as it would do for a lot of people. Not everyone, but probably more than you think. And I bring that up because it's so funny because my family is not the same way that I am. Like, I would pretty much, even if I was going to that dealership on purpose, scheduled in, whatever it was, I'm going to buy a car, that's a dealership I'm going to, and saw that, it would drastically make me think twice about it, just because it's such poor thinking. So if you're going to spend that much money to not only build out a space, but even if you're the salesperson and you have the opportunity to work in that space, how would it not occur to you that throwing up a piece of, plain paper with some, randomly placed, cheap tape saying "Be back in 5" would be okay, would be on brand for what this design is selling? It wouldn't. And the thing is, as much as like my brothers, probably even my mother, would probably roll their eyes at me if I was like, "Oh, I'm not going here because of that," I know I'm not alone. So even people who can't articulate what they didn't like about something, it's usually because something is off with the brand. They might not be able to put their finger on it. I'm usually pretty good at it just because that's kind of what I do for work, and it's just like in my blood and what I do. I'm always looking at brand. If it's off, it almost makes you not trust them without really understanding that. But it's like you just don't trust them. So Design is important. Aesthetics, extremely, extremely important. Down to a smudge on the windows. If you are using any type of stainless steel or anything in your restaurant that can leave a thumbprint, if you don't have some type of system to be all over that, constantly wiping down, door handles, if you can see the smudges, windows, making sure they're cleaned, you will absolutely lose customers. You'll lose credibility if you're not on top of this. Now, the second somebody puts their nose against your glass or, puts a thumbprint on something, can you be right behind them wiping it? No, I'm not saying that. But the second somebody on your team notices, it should be taken care of. And I know that's true for the Will Guidara restaurants, from, I can't even think of Madison Park, 11 Madison. And then when he worked with the other gentleman, who's, of course, I have the world's worst memory, and I cannot think of his name, even though I have his book, Setting the Table, as well. Danny Meyer. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that. Danny Meyer. It's absolutely built into their culture. Things like that, the over servicing, not only that, but making sure that the room, the vibe, the ambiance is always on full tilt, 100% screaming who they are, what they do, and how they want to make you feel. And yes, a thumbprint, a fingerprint, a nose print against glass will absolutely deter from that. Realistically, can you get rid of it the second it happens? No, but beyond that, the minute someone notices. So is it up there for a few minutes? Fine. More than that? I don't know. Depends. I don't know. So there's that. Switching gears for 1 second, I also wanted to touch on design, interior design of restaurants, whether you're thinking of opening one or expanding, and how much money you should or should not spend on design. And that really comes down to your concept and who you believe your target market is. Design is extraordinarily important to a restaurant. So let's just say that first. It is absolutely important that your design speaks volumes about who you are to anyone that comes in contact with it. So I would never underestimate the importance. With that said, if you are a sub shop or a pizza shop, something like that, something really low ticket, and you decide that it's not worth it to put any money into your place. Maybe you're taking over an old sub shop or something like that, or you're building it out yourself, but you just want to go bottom of the barrel, cheap. That's fine. That's fine. Just expect who that's going to attract. And I would want to also make sure that your prices reflect the fact that you decided that you wanted to go as cheap as humanly possible. Because even though not every one of your customers is going to be an expert on the cost of restaurant construction, of course not. But pretty much anyone that has a brain can kind of do some type of math, whether it's right or wrong, about what the owner, not even the math, it's more understanding, did the owner actually care about my experience when I walk in here or not? Like, that's just sort of innate. And if you do decide to go super, super, super cheap and it's noticeable, and usually it will be at some point, maybe not on day one, maybe it can look great and then start falling apart. If that's going to be noticeable, it should be reflected in your prices as well. I say that only because that's the type of clientele you're going to have. In other words, if I am somewhere new and I decide I really am dying for, a turkey bacon club sandwich, whatnot, and I pull over and I go into a sub shop and the place is, just like outdated, dirty, which I'll get into in a second. Dirty, I'd probably walk right back out again, because if that's dirty, God knows what's going on with the food. But if it's clean or clean enough and just outdated, I'm just going to kind of assume like, okay, this is just a little bit of a cash cow for the owner. They may or may not care that much about it. So I'm going to really lower my expectations of this place, but I'm just hungry, and how bad can you mess up a turkey sandwich type thing? That'll be going through my head. I think with or without realizing it, that's what goes through most people's head. And some people, but if your prices are super low, then that's going to attract the customers that are only shopping on price, right? So that's a whole different customer base. Nothing wrong with it. They're going to go out to eat. These could be And, just anyone that's probably on a fixed budget or, a low budget, or just doesn't really care too much about quality of food, doesn't know the difference. That's not judging. I mean, that's absolutely fine. If they're shopping on price, then they're probably not going to care as much about the design of your restaurant, because they're there because you're the lowest sub shop in town. And that's fine. But just as long, and that's all good. And if you're profitable and you're making money and that's all you want to do and you're fine with it, great. You're golden. No problem. The issue I find is the business owners that are bottom of the barrel pricing and, don't want to spend any money on anything extra at all for their restaurant, nicer chairs or tables or better packaging or whatever it is, but then wonder why they're not busting at the seams, why they're not getting catering orders, why they're not blah, blah, blah. That's what you might want to look at. It's a big piece of it. How people see you is absolutely through your storefront. If they ever come in or drive by it, that's just a fact. That's not even my opinion. I know that's a fact. So again, if you're okay with that, if you like the people that are just price shoppers, and then that you can deliver a decent sandwich for $5 or whatever it is, the lowest price in town, or one of the lowest prices, then great. Then don't worry too much. Definitely keep it clean, because I even think, people that are price shopping are certainly going to notice cleanliness. So plus, you have the health inspector to deal with. So definitely keep it clean. I wouldn't worry too much about putting a lot of time and thought into the design. However, with that said, I find it should never be forgotten. And at least a fresh coat of paint on the walls as often as needed, and not like, oh, let me just get another year or two out of it. No, I mean, that's going to be an investment, of course. It could be $1,000 or more possibly to have your takeout area or your dining room, whatever it is, painted. I would suggest setting aside, maybe it's 1 or 2% of your income into a savings account, and know that savings account is to do improvements, painting, whatever, because that stuff goes a long way. It goes a long way with your customers, whether they voice it to you or not. It's huge. Now, going down the line, on the other end of that, if you spend over the top money on restaurant design, maybe you took over a location, got a loan for $1 million, or somewhere in there. Maybe that's a stretch, maybe not. Go balls to the wall with your design, and then your place is dead. Yikes, because now I'm guessing you borrowed that money that you have to pay back. So before you spend any money, before you spend any money, period, but especially before you spend big money on going over the top with design, you need to be sure that the customers are there and that they're going to come to you, as sure as you can be. And there are ways to be pretty confident. Location, as they say, other people in the area, other restaurants in the area, how busy are they on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on different nights of the week. You should be visiting them, different hours, different days, different times, to kind of gauge how busy they are, what people are ordering, as much as you can gauge that from just being a sitting customer. You need to have some pretty decent data before you go borrow and spend that money to produce this beautiful place for no one to sit in. And I have seen that probably just as much as I've seen people put no money into the place and then, wonder why they're broke. I have seen people build out absolutely beautiful restaurants in a market or a place that just didn't need it. It wasn't called for. So for example, I'm here on the South Shore of Boston. So we're like, with no traffic, we're about 25 minutes south of the city. With traffic, about 45 minutes. And there's a bunch of different towns, and a couple of them house what we might consider fine dining. Not quite city, but like upscale. A couple do. And those places do well. They usually do have waits, on the weekends. But they're not bursting at the seams, meaning, wow, we should open up 5 more of these fine dining. There's not enough, because you have to think about it. If you're living in a suburb city and you want to go out for that fine dining experience, it's 50-50. You might be like, well, let's go into the city and go at it and have a great time, go on the waterfront, go down to the seaport, whatever it is. Like, you're either going to do that and just get away, drive into the city. Or if you're like, well, I don't really want to drive to the city, but I want to have a nice meal, then you might be one of those people that go into a fine dining restaurant near you, but it's not necessarily enough. And if you already have a handful and you know that a couple of more might be opening up, then that's enough for the market. The market is saturated by that point at this time. You'll know that when you go do your due diligence on visiting these other places. So when I see someone build out, spend a lot of money on a build out for a restaurant in like a sleepy suburb town that didn't really ask for or need a fine dining restaurant, actually in the town that I'm thinking of, it's about 90% of that town is probably, blue collar. Like they're more into the more casual pubs and things, and that's what they do. So it kind of astounded me that they put a fine dining restaurant there. I didn't see it. I thought maybe they had data that I didn't have. But come to find out, they shut down within 3 years, and and my guess is they were probably in a huge amount of debt. I don't know that for a fact, but that is definitely a guess. So that's kind of the other end of the spectrum. Just because you spend a huge amount of money on design doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to come. So you have to have the data points there. So in general, design should not be ignored. It should not be thought of a nice to have. It is definitely a must have, but it should be designed to who your target market is. Who picture the avatar, like, the avatar of the person that you think is like the ideal customer, the one that'll come in on a regular basis or however often you need them or want them to come in. What do they want to see? What's important to them? What's not important to them? Design for that. That's what makes sense. That's what will keep people coming back. I think there's a restaurant here that I go to quite often, and it is always busy. I think I've mentioned it on earlier episodes, and it is a chain, for lack of a better word. Chain. It's kind of an upscale full service restaurant, American. It's called Burton's Bar and Grill, but it's a little bit more upscale than a bar and grill, but certainly not steakhouse or fine dining. It's like in between. It's exactly in between those two, I would say. They run a wait every single night. So my daughter tried to go there last night around maybe 6:30, and it was already over an hour wait. And that's true at this place, no matter where you go. But the thing is, they've spent some money on the dining room without a doubt, but it was clearly designed for their clientele in mind. The colors are, on not only on brand, but they are current. They're current. They're not. It's not like the burgundy fern bars of the 1980s and the crazy colors of the 1990s. It is designed for today, and I think they actually remodeled in sections about over the last 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years. They remodeled, not because the place wasn't falling apart. I think they just know who their clientele is, a little on the middle income to upscale. And that they kind of expect that. They want that, oh, let's go back there. There's more booths now. Oh, look at the art on the wall is actually cool. It's fun art. It's cool. It's got like some movie star. It's got a bunch of things, but like really like interesting looking art. They change it up. I bet their model is every 5 to 10 years, they go in and they completely remodel their restaurants, not for wear and tear, although I'm sure that's some of it, but just to stay on brand and stay with it when it comes to the design that people want to see. And let's face it, with not only just with social media, but even just in print advertising, pretty much the media feeds us what colors are in, what styles are in, all of those things, whether we know it or not. And that's what kind of becomes what we like. That's true probably 98% of the time, whether we realize it or not. What we're seeing, what we're being fed, like, oh, I like that. I don't like mauve. I don't want beige anymore. Now I want this. That comes through the images that we're seeing, and most of the images is coming to us through the media. And for a restaurant to kind of be hip to that and be like, okay, we kind of have to get on trend with this. This is what people like. It makes a difference. And I think that's a huge part of why this restaurant is uber successful, with literally running an hour. They run an hour wait at 5 o'clock. I'm not even kidding, because I usually go there once or twice a week, and I go there for the rewards program, which I think so many restaurants miss the boat. But that's a different episode that I already gave about you're crazy if you're not doing some type of easy but generous rewards program, because that's the entire difference between whether I want to go there or this restaurant or that restaurant. I'm like, well, I might as well go there because I'm going to get money back. Or I'm going to earn rewards, and I'm going to get a $25 gift card. Why wouldn't I go there? again, separate episode. This one is just about the ROI of design. So as I wrap up, bottom line is, if you're not going to put any money, thought, or very little money, thought into your design, expect very little ROI from it. And hopefully your food, your price point, your service speaks for itself. And that can happen. I have seen that happen. I mean, so just to say, I don't want to sound like, a snob in any way, but there are some places around here that are known to literally have the best, like, Thanksgiving Day sandwich. And I've been in there, and that place, from the outside looks like a dump. On the inside, not that much better, to be honest with you. But the sandwich, it's clean, and the sandwich is absolutely delicious. And for there, I'll go there all day long. They clearly do not care about the aesthetics of the outside, which is just like overgrown weeds and overgrown bushes and just like horrible parking. It's just hideous. And had I not known or heard that they had this amazing Thanksgiving sandwich, I would never step foot in this place. I think a lot of people would say that, but because they've developed this reputation for like this huge, stuffing, cranberry sauce, like real turkey that they bake there and slice off, like it's unbelievable. It's worth it. I don't care about the design, and I'll pay, $14-15 for this sandwich because it's that good. And I know it's freshly baked there. It smells like turkey when you walk in. So that formula absolutely works for them. No problem. And as a matter of fact, because they're so known for that, they're known for that sandwich. They're known, also they bake bread and they bake the turkeys in there. So when you go in there, the smell is just so wonderful. They're known for that it doesn't matter to me. Like if they were to completely like redo and upscale their interior, exterior, I mean, the exterior would probably be nice because honestly, the curb appeal is pretty bad. But the interior, like I wouldn't care. I mean, like, why do they spend the money on that? Like I don't care what's supposed. I'm only gonna go in, grab my sandwich, and leave. So there's that. Although they also don't have online ordering, you have to call, and they're really short and a little bit rude. So that's like not my favorite, but I think it's kind of their aesthetic. So yes, there are places where the model works, where it can still be a bit of a, I'm trying to think of a better word than dump. I'm trying to think of a better word than that. Like, what do they call? Like a dive. Like there are places that can do that and still do really well because they're known for something else. Maybe they have the greatest bartender or server or the greatest side dish or drinks or whatever it is. And that might work for them. And if the numbers work, that's great. So design doesn't always have to. But overall, I think design can play a huge role in a lot of different restaurants. Cleanliness is a must-have. It's not a nice-to-have. That's a no-brainer. Cleanliness is not what I'm talking about. That has to be done. But updating and high design, thoughtful design, I think it's really important for the most part, but not for everybody. I don't know. And in the end, it all comes down to your numbers. So like that place I was telling you about that has the great turkey sandwich, and I think they're also cash only, something that I love. I think that's great. It's kind of going away, but I love that. If I were to look at their books, if they actually had books and I looked at their books and they're, making a really healthy 10 to 20, 25% profit, which is my guess, dude, don't change a thing. I'm on board for that all day long. I think that's great. If that works, that's pretty rare that can happen. But if you're suffering to make sales, if you're not really profitable, one, we need to figure out if that's true and how much and why, whether it's your food cost, your labor costs, whatever it is. You need to know exactly where the leak in that bucket is. And then we might want to look at, okay, so who are your customers? What are they looking for? That's when we kind of get into what can we do to turn this around? Can it be turned around? And more often than not, it can be, but not always. But you want to know that now rather than way down the road where you may have incurred some debt that you might not be able to get out of if you don't turn it around. So that's where I'm at with design. I hope some of this was useful. Thank you, as always, for listening. I so appreciate that. Please, please, please like, share, do whatever it is that you need to do with podcasts so we can help get the word out there. And I have another subset of podcasts coming out called The Shift. I think we've released 2, and that is where I am talking live with a restaurant or caterer or any type of food service owner who has implemented the Profit First restaurant system. And they talk about what that's like, how they did it, what they liked, what they didn't like, the before and after, anything you might want to know about restaurateurs who are actually doing the system. That's on The Shift. We had 2 episodes dropped already. I have a couple waiting to be released. And if you happen to be one and you'd like to be on the show, I would love to have you. you can hit me up through the website, or you can just email me directly at Kasey@sparkbusinessconsulting.com. Thanks so much for listening. See you on the next one.